Good afternoon, students.
Good afternoon.
So here, in the series of metabolism of carbohydrates, we have completed the glycolysis. Then we have seen the transition stage where pyruvic acid is converted into acetyl-CoA, and what are the different stages and how we can regulate those enzymes that are responsible for the conversion of pyruvic acid into acetyl-CoA. So all these things we have seen in the previous class. Now, in this class, we will see the Krebs cycle. So once this acetyl-CoA is formed, this acetyl-CoA enters the Krebs cycle, which is very important in the energy production, because we are going to generate most of the requirements. That is like, why I'm saying this is, on a whole, we are going to generate ATP, and also we are going to generate some of the intermediates of other metabolisms. So there is the Krebs cycle is like an intermediate of the intermediates. For example, some of the intermediates of Krebs cycle, like it's a web, it's a web of which is including other metabolisms also. For example, these amino acid intermediates, they can be entered into the Krebs cycle, like alpha ketoglutarate and oxaloacetate. So all these things they can enter into the Krebs cycle, and the intermediates like alpha ketoglutarate from the Krebs cycle, they may enter into the amino acid metabolism. And also glycerol and acetyl-CoA, which is mainly a fatty acid metabolism, they may enter into the Krebs cycle, or from this Krebs cycle they may enter the fat synthesis. So it's like a web. All the intermediates of all the metabolisms will encounter as a Krebs cycle. So why we are saying it as a cycle? Because it is a cyclic process. As the acetyl-CoA increases, the acetyl-CoA will be combining with oxaloacetate and citrate is synthesized. As the citrate is oxidized, it will convert into oxaloacetate. So oxaloacetate will be continuously synthesized in the cyclic process, as well as it is continuously combined with acetyl-CoA until the regulation of this Krebs cycle starts. Okay, so it's like a cycle. That's what you are calling it as a Krebs cycle. We don't call glycolysis as a cycle, because glycolysis is a sequence of steps, whereas Krebs cycle is a cycle. It's a cyclic process. So the oxaloacetate, which is helpful or which is combined with acetyl-CoA, can form citrate. But citrate can be, in a sequence of steps, can be converted into oxaloacetate. So we are starting with citrate and we are ending with oxaloacetate. But oxaloacetate is combining with acetyl-CoA to form citrate. So it's like a cyclic process. So that's what we call it as a Krebs cycle. Why? On the name of Hans Krebs. On the name of Hans Krebs. Okay. So I'm just going to share my screen. So the Krebs cycle, it's also known as the TCA cycle or the citric acid cycle. Because why we are calling it as citric acid cycle? Because citric acid is a first compound of this cycle. Then tricarboxylic acid, because it is having 3 carboxylic groups. The compounds here are having 3 carboxylic groups. Then it's a series of chemical reactions used by all the aerobic organisms. So we know that this Krebs cycle can be occurring only in the presence of oxygen, only in aerobic conditions. This doesn't occur in case of anaerobic conditions. So why this occurs? Because it wants to release the stored form of energy through the oxidation of acetyl-CoA, which is derived from the carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. So in addition, the cycle provides precursors of many amino acids or as well as the reducing agents of like the NADH. So this NADH, which is in the reduced form, will go to the electron transport chain and drop off those hydrates onto the oxygen, forming water. So once water is formed, there with the help of ATP synthase, mute here, please mute. With the help of ATP synthase, ATPs are generated. So this is occurring with the help of electron transport chain, because this NADH are dropping their hydrates onto the oxygen, forming water. So the end products of glycolysis, that is a carbohydrate metabolism, or carbon dioxide and water. So where do we get carbon dioxide? We get carbon dioxide liberated in the form of Krebs cycle. It also occurs in the form of the transition stage where pyruvate is converted into acetyl-CoA. So what is the end product of carbohydrate metabolism? Carbon dioxide and water. So this is the end products of carbohydrate metabolism, along with the release of energy and other intermediates for other cycles. So this is the whole metabolism of carbohydrates. Okay, so this is a cycle which are having the most important intermediates. So oxaloacetate along with acetyl-CoA will combine to form the citrate. Here the CoA enzyme A is liberated, then citrate will be converted into. So from citrate we are losing one carbon molecule. So I have only shown the important stages here. It's not the complete cycle. I just shown the important aspects. So the most important is citrate, then alpha ketoglutarate, then succinyl-CoA, then oxaloacetate, and then here it is forming. See how there is a change here. Please mute here. Please mute. So this acetyl-CoA, which is a 2-carbon compound, which is combining with oxaloacetate, which is 4-carbon compound. So oxaloacetate is a 4-carbon compound, whereas acetyl-CoA is a 2-carbon compound. So these two are mixed, or so it is like a condensation. So like a condensation, these two will condense to form citrate, which is a 6-carbon compound. And from here, one of the carbons is liberated as carbon dioxide. Thereby, we are going to get the 5-carbon compound. This 5-carbon compound, that is the alpha ketoglutarate, which is an important intermediate of both protein metabolism and also carbohydrate Krebs cycle intermediate. So here this will get converted into succinyl-CoA, which is again 4-carbon compound. So there is a lot of significance for this alpha ketoglutarate. So we will see in the future classes. So alpha ketoglutarate is a 5-carbon compound, which again undergoes decarboxylation, oxidative decarboxylation, to form succinyl-CoA. So the CoA that is liberated here is attached to the succinate. And this succinyl-CoA is again converted into oxaloacetate by 2 more intermediates. Okay, so this is the overall important stages of this Krebs cycle. Next. So the cycle consumes acetate in the form of acetyl-CoA and water and reduces NAD plus to NADH. So why this is we are reducing it? Because this NADH has to drop off their hydrates onto oxygen in the electron transport chain to liberate the carbon dioxide. So the NADH generated in the citric acid cycle is fed into the oxidative phosphorylation, that is electron transport pathway. And in the eukaryotic cell, this citric acid cycle occurs in the matrix of mitochondria. So this is occurring in the matrix of mitochondria. But in case of prokaryotic cells, such as bacteria, which lack mitochondria, the citric acid cycle the reaction sequences in the cytosol itself. So in the eukaryotic cell, the citric acid cycle occurs in the mitochondria, in the matrix of mitochondria. Actually, in case of mitochondria, we have the outermost outer membrane and the inner membrane. In prokaryotic cells, such as the bacteria, which lack the mitochondria, the citric acid cycle reaction sequence is performed in the cytosol with the proton gradient. So proton gradient plays an important role in case of prokaryotic cell, whereas the movement of hydrides. So even in case of eukaryotics, the same thing. The hydrides which lose electrons in the electron transfer chain will occur. But the thing is, in prokaryotes, it is occurring in the cytosol, whereas in eukaryotes, it is occurring in the mitochondria. Because we call mitochondria as a powerhouse of the cell. Why we are calling it as a powerhouse? Because the mitochondria is responsible for the generation of ATP, which is having a high energy. So we call mitochondria as a powerhouse of the cell. Now, citric acid cycle especially involves the oxidation of acetyl-CoA to water and carbon dioxide. The citric acid, it is about 2/3 of the total oxygen that is consumed in the body. So this is what we are saying it as. It is an oxidative pathway where it occurs only in the presence of oxygen, because around 67% of the body's oxygen is required to proceed with the acetyl-CoA synthesis of citric acid, and again convert the citric acid into oxaloacetate. So this cycle requires around 2/3 of the body total oxygen. Acetyl-CoA donates this acetyl group to the 4-carbon compound oxaloacetate to form the 6-carbon compound citrate. The citrate is then transferred into isocitrate, and then this 6-carbon compound with the liberation of carbon dioxide is converted into alpha-ketoglutarate. So alpha-ketoglutarate is also called as oxoglycerate, and this alpha-ketoglutarate undergoes again a second loss of carbon dioxide, which is still oxidative decarboxylation, and it is converted into 4-carbon compound, that is succinate. This succinate is then enzymatically converted into 3 more steps to 4-carbon oxaloacetate. So this is a whole important reactions of this Krebs cycle. So Krebs cycle is the most important central pathway, converting almost all the individual metallic pathways. So it's like a link, what I said. So if you consider the history of this Krebs cycle, the several components of these reactions of the Krebs cycle were established in 1930s by the research of Mr. Albert Grigoi, so who received his Nobel Prize in 1937, especially for his discoveries pertaining to this fumaric acid. The fumaric acid is a major component of this Krebs cycle, which is having a paramount importance. So all these intermediates, whatever we see in case of citric acid, are having their own importance. So the citric acid itself was finally identified in 1937 by Hans Adolf Krebs and William Arthur Johnson while at the University of Sheffield. So they received their Nobel Prize. That Mr. Hans Krebs, he has received Nobel Prize in 1953. And we sometimes refer to this cycle as a Krebs cycle because he was a pioneer in connecting all the intermediates. So next, after that, Mr. Kennedy and Lehinger showed in 1948 that in eukaryotes, the entire set of reactions of Krebs cycle that took place in the mitochondria. So this is a short history of Krebs cycle, where few persons like Krebs and Lehinger and Mr. Albert Kennedy, so all these persons played an important role in the identification of Krebs cycle, that this Krebs cycle occurs only in the presence of oxygen and about their intermediate products, and this especially this Krebs cycle takes place in the matrix of mitochondria. So all these persons contributed, and this is a short history of the Krebs cycle. Now we are actually moving into the TCA cycle. So we know that this Krebs cycle will start with oxaloacetate, then which is combining with acetyl-CoA to form a condensation to form the citric acid. Here, with the help of this enzyme, citrate synthase. So synthase means it's an enzyme which is helpful in the synthesis. Synthase is an enzyme which is helpful in the synthesis. So here there is an involvement of water molecule and a liberation of carbon dioxide. Sorry, we are liberating here acetyl CoA in the form of coenzyme A that is liberated from this reaction. Now the second step, from citrate it is converted into isocitrate, cis-aconate. So it is converted into isocitrate via an intermediate product which is known as cis-aconitate. So this is done by the help of an enzyme called as aconitase. Aconitase is an enzyme which converts citrate into isocitrate via an intermediate called as cis-aconitate. So here we can see that this is an enzyme which is having two functions. One is this is converting citrate by the liberation of water molecule into isocitrate, but via an intermediate called as cis-aconitate. You can see how the structures are changing here. See the CH3CO that is attached to this oxaloacetate. This is oxaloacetate, and here it is attached at this point. Now see how it has changed. It is a double bond. This is what is called as a aconitate. Now what happens? So here you can see here the CH2COOH, CH2COOH here, and this is a OH. But now it has changed its direction. The hydrogen from here has moved to here, and the OH has moved to here. So this is what is called as isocitrate. Now from isocitrate, here there is a liberation of water, right? Now here there is no involvement of water. The water molecule that is liberated here will be again attached to this carbon where there is a double bond. Then again we form OH. If you can see here, COOH, COO, COO, it is COO, COO, and this is a part what 1, 2, and 3. So there are 1, 2, and 3. This is HOH, but here it is H. So there is a movement of the ions from second to third carbon. The first carbon is same, but there is a changes in the second and third carbon, and this is occurred because of the liberation of water molecule. And this liberation of water molecule will make it as a unsaturated compound. Whereas again the liberated water is combining with this unsaturation so that we get an isocitrate. And this same enzyme, this aconitate, is responsible for both the things, both the reactions. But this is a single reaction to be precise, but this is occurring via an intermediate. Now this isocitrate is converted into alpha ketoglutarate, which is a primary, which is a most important compound in case of citric acid cycle. Here there is a liberation of carbon dioxide because this is a 6-membered 6-carbon compound, whereas this is a 5-carbon compound. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The 6th carbon is liberated. From where it is liberated? From here. It is liberated from here. Now this is done with the help of an enzyme called as isocitrate dehydrogenase. Isocitrate dehydrogenase. What does this dehydrogenase means? Which will remove the hydrogens. So from where these hydrogens have been removed? These two hydrogens have been removed. To whom these hydrogens have been, the removed hydrogens have been accepted by NAD+, so that it is reduced to NADH plus H plus. But the thing is, this reaction, that is a conversion of isocitrate to alpha ketoglutarate, undergoes by an intermediate called as oxalosuccinate. Oxalosuccinate. So it's not of much importance, so we are not discussing about this part. But the thing is, from isocitrate, we are going to get alpha ketoglutarate by an intermediate called as oxalosuccinate. By the help of this enzyme, isocitrate dehydrogenase. So from isocitrate, we are going to remove two hydrogens, and that is done by this enzyme called as isocitrate dehydrogenase, where these hydrogens are removed so that this NAD+ is reduced to take up this hydrogen. Now this alpha ketoglutarate is converted back into succinyl CoA. So here you can see here the upper part is common. This CO2 is liberated, and this succinyl CoA is formed by the attachment of coenzyme A. So this coenzyme A is converted into carbon dioxide. So coenzyme is going into the reaction, whereas carbon dioxide is liberated. And this is done by the help of an enzyme called as alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase complex. Even this is a highly regulated enzyme. Alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase complex. So here, so since it is an dehydrogenase, there is an involvement of NAD. It is converted into NADH+. And the thing is, if you look at this, there are some irreversible steps here. So the first step, the citrate synthase, is an irreversible one. The second one, the conversion of cis-aconitate into isocitrate. Even this is an irreversible one. The third one is the conversion of isocitrate to alpha ketoglutarate. So all these three steps are irreversible. The remaining steps are reversible. It's not A, it's alpha actually. So from succinyl-CoA, with the liberation of this coenzyme A, we get succinate, and this is done by succinyl-CoA synthetase. Succinyl-CoA synthetase is an enzyme which converts succinyl-CoA into succinate. So what happened here? Just this was clipped off. This CoA was clipped off from this, so that it is forming succinate. Here, this coenzyme A is liberated. So in order to liberate this coenzyme A, GDP, we require energy. So synthase is an enzyme which doesn't require energy, whereas synthetase is an enzyme which requires energy. Just remember this one. Synthetase is an enzyme which doesn't require energy, whereas synthetase is an enzyme which requires energy. So here what happened is, the liberated energy is here the GDP is combining with the inorganic phosphate to give away GTP. But what happens is, this GTP will transfer the phosphate onto ADP so that it is converted into ATP. So this is what happens. This is an instantaneous process where the GTP donates the inorganic phosphate to ADP so that ATP is generated. So this is a substrate level phosphorylation. This is a substrate level phosphorylation. Now this succinate is converted into fumarate with the help of an enzyme called as succinate dehydrogenase. If we see an enzyme called as dehydrogenase, definitely there is an involvement of NAD or FAD. But in case of succinate dehydrogenase, this FAD is converted into FADH2. FADH2. Then fumarate is converted into malate with the help of an enzyme called as fumarase. This malate is converted back to oxaloacetate by the enzyme called as malate dehydrogenase. Yeah. So when fumarate is converted into malate, we require a water molecule. So there is, since it is a dehydrogenase, definitely there is an involvement of NAD plus, which is converted into NADH plus H plus. So this is a whole Krebs cycle. And if you see, how many steps are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there are 8 steps in case of Krebs cycle. Within these 8 steps, it's like a cycle, and there are 3 irreversible steps here. What are the 3 irreversible steps? One is the citrate. So the first step, that is the formation of citrate. This is an irreversible one. Second one, conversion of cis-aconate into isocitrate. So we can say it as from citrate to isocitrate. This is an irreversible step. The third one, conversion of isocitrate into alpha ketoglutarate. So all these 3 are very important, and these enzymes, they are highly regulated. These enzymes are highly regulated. Now we will look at each and every step of this Krebs cycle. The first one is the condensation of acetyl-CoA with oxaloacetate under the influence of citrate synthase which is liberating succinyl coenzyme A, the involvement of water molecule to produce citrate. The second step is citrate is converted into isocitrate via an intermediate called as cis-aconitase, and here there is an involvement of water molecule again. So citrate is liberating water molecule to generate aconitate, whereas the liberated water molecule is combined with this cis-aconitase to produce isocitrate. This is the second step. The third step is conversion of isocitrate into alpha-ketoglutarate via an intermediate called as oxaloacetate. In this step, the enzyme that is utilized or taking part is isocitrate dehydrogenase, where the NAD plus or NADP plus is converted into NADPH plus H plus. This NADP, which is phosphorylated form of NADH, and these will enter into the electron transport chain, thereby it is liberating energy. Then the fourth reaction is conversion of alpha-ketoglutarate into succinyl-CoA. Here there is an involvement of coenzyme A and also NAD plus and NADH plus. Sorry, NADH. Why? Because this is an enzyme which is dehydrogenase, which is converting this alpha-ketoglutarate into succinyl-CoA. Then the next step, the succinyl-CoA with the liberation of CO coenzyme A will be converted into succinate by the help of this enzyme, which is called as succinyl-CoA synthetase. Succinyl-CoA synthetase. Then the succinate is converted into fumarate. Just a rearrangement reactions here. Here there is an involvement of FAD, which is converted into alpha-DH2. Next, this fumarate is converted into malate by an intermediate called as the transition state here, but this is not so important. So the fumarate can be converted into malate, and at the last, malate is converted into oxaloacetate, which is a 4-carbon compound. So here succinate 1, 2, 3, and 4. There are 4 compounds in the Krebs cycle which are having 4 carbons. There are 4 compounds in the Krebs cycle which are having 4 compounds. That is the succinate, fumarate, then malate, and oxaloacetate. Now, so these are the 8 steps of Krebs cycle what we are discussing. Now, so it's a products of one turn of cycle. So if the cycle continues for one direction, suppose if acetyl-CoA is oxaloacetate are producing citrate. Now again, if I get the citrate again, that is one turn, one complete cycle. So these are the products that we obtain when one cycle of Krebs cycle completes. So the cycle starts with citrate, then we have isocitrate, then here we have alpha-ketoglutarate, where this NADH is liberated, and there is a liberation of carbon dioxide. And the second one is with the liberation of carbon dioxide and the utilization of NAD plus, then alpha-ketoglutarate is converted into succinyl-CoA, where succinyl-CoA is converted into succinate, where this GTP or ATP are involved. From succinate we are going to get fumarate, from fumarate to malate, and from malate to oxaloacetate. So these are the different compounds that we get when one complete cycle of Krebs cycle completes. There is one more thing here to be noted. So these are the biosynthetic precursors that are produced by an incomplete Krebs cycle in the anaerobic bacteria. So in case of anaerobic bacteria, if you look at it, then the same thing happens even in case of prokaryotes and eukaryotes. You can see that from pyruvate, with the help of if we add a carbon molecule to pyruvate, we can generate oxaloacetate. So this can also be done with PEP, that is a phosphoenol pyruvate. So with pyruvate or phosphoenol pyruvate, this can be converted into oxaloacetate by including carbon dioxide. Now, this oxaloacetate is combining with acetyl CoA to form citrate. The citrate will form isocytrate, and isocytrate will form the alpha ketoglutarate. And then from alpha ketoglutarate, we are going to form this succinyl CoA, and from succinyl CoA, we get the succinate. From succinate to fumarate, fumarate to malate, and from malate to oxaloacetate. So this is the entire cycle. Now, I said that there are a lot of things to be noted in case of Krebs cycle, because the intermediates will enter into the other metabolisms, or the intermediates from the other metabolisms may enter the Krebs cycle. So the role of citric acid cycle in anabolism, that is the intermediates of the citric acid and are drawn off as precursors in many biosynthetic pathways, which are shown in the red color. So this is a red color, from where this intermediates of Krebs cycle are taken away by other processes, or they enter into the other pathways. So why this is occurring? Because this is very important to produce energy for our requirements. So this is a whole summary of the Krebs cycle, where the citric acid cycle or the Krebs cycle is a nearly universal central catabolic pathway, in which the compounds derived from the breakdown of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins are oxidized to CO2. So with the most of the energy in terms of oxidation temporarily held in the electron transport chain carries FADH2 and NADH. So these are the important things that to be noted in case of Krebs cycle. So there is less time. What we do is fill the attendance form. So fill this form. We will join again to discuss few more points. I hope you have filled the form. So join again. We will discuss some more points about Krebs cycle.